It's Docs and it's Logan, and you know what's really weird about this week's Docs? Everyone is trying new playbooks because you're either in the playoffs, or you're out of the playoffs and you're trying new things. People don't want players to get injured, so they're maybe using backups more. Teams that are out of the playoffs are using backups because they're trying to figure out who's going to stay. It's almost like that competitiveness. We need to figure out who's going to be on the roster next year. We need to figure these type of things. So it's a very odd week. Everyone's either you're competing for a playoff spot, you're protecting for a playoff spot, you're trying to figure out what will work for next season. It's kind of odd, isn't it, that we're in the season so fast?
Oh yeah, like the last week, you're just trying to see
right.
what fits mold for your team looking towards next year.
Yeah.
Who's going to retire also. I think we're going to have a lot of retarees coming up this year.
Yeah, I think this is the year to retire.
Yeah, so I think teams need to look out for that.
This is also not a very big draft from what I saw from overalls. I'm still looking. I'm gonna really research and give the people the best draft coverage we can. But overall, there really isn't any too many studs, especially outside the first round. So maybe this is the year that a lot of free agents become available. A lot of people have to fill different needs, creatively, because like you said, there's going to be retirees. There's going to be, and we had a lot of injuries this year, with different teams. I think the Eagles were banged up. I lost a few guys, but very big injuries. I lost a guy for 9 weeks, and then I lost a guy for the season. You lost Drew Brees for a while. So there's been a lot of big injuries. So that can hurt and help a team. The goal this week was just to break down the season and kind of give our season in review and, hit on a bunch of different things. Because really we could break down the games, but like I said, a lot of people were either protecting the playoffs, protecting their star players. They were trying new things. So the scores really this week, at least in my opinion, Stocks, I'm pretty sure you agree with this, don't really represent how good a team is or how bad a team is.
Yeah, no, like you said, it's just a blueprint what you're doing for next year, I think, or like you said, for the playoffs.
And these weeks are important for both sides, either playoff teams. Obviously they're resting for for the playoffs or the chance to win the Super Bowl, which is all why we all play. And then it's important to figure out who's good, who isn't good. Who's going to be your backups. Maybe you put in a backup this week and he does phenomenal, and you think, oh well, if I would have played him X amount of games, I would have made the playoffs. So then maybe next season he's your starter. You plug him in to see what he can do. So although the stats really don't matter that much, or the scores, you can't really break them down, or at least I don't see a point in breaking them down really. It's still an important week to kind of figure out individually what your team can do and what it can't do. But talking about the season, who was the quarterback that kind of surprised you? I know last year it was Brad Smith. We were kind of surprised that the Bills was using that guy a lot. He was running with him. He was very effective. Not saying he was bad. It was a bad thing he was using Brad Smith, but we were a little taken aback, if you will. Who was that quarterback?
The guy that stood out for me was Ryan Kessler for 49ers.
Yeah.
His stats for this year were pretty solid overall. He threw for 3,200 yards to 23 touchdowns. He doesn't have really, he's got Vernon Davis, but, Crabtree's not, only caught 22 balls this year.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a superstar breakout wide receiver. Yeah, he's got Gore. That's a good running game, balances it off. But for a player like him to play at that level, basically carried the team on the offensive side of the ball.
I never liked Michael Crabtree, to be honest with you. He's just never been that elite guy to me. In real or Madden, he just never. He has a lot of flash and kind of that kind of gamey look to him. You know, he wants to be all about himself, but really on the field, he's never really produced for me, and in Madden, he's never really caught my eye. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too harsh on the guy. Maybe he can be a star. Maybe he is a stud wide receiver for the 49ers. I would, to me he's a second. He's a second wide receiver. He's not a elite guy in my opinion.
Yeah. So back to the rookie. The rookie ended up rushing 5 touchdowns also.
Yeah.
So to keep the 49ers offense just in check because their defense is so stout.
Yeah.
This kid did the job this year for this team.
He really did.
And it's going to make a run here.
He really did. I played him once. He was very balanced. The moment I thought he was going to pass, he ran. And the moment I thought he was going to run, he passed it. He was very balanced, and he really caught me off guard a few times. Now, that could be because I don't play in the AFC a lot. I don't see a lot of AFC teams. I really was coming into this game, blinded, but so was he. And, he was able to adjust a lot easier than I was because his offense I didn't think was going to be, great. I thought it was going to be a lot of defense. And the defense did show up, but I was really surprised in how the rookie managed the game.
Yeah, this kid's got 94 throw power. I mean,
yeah.
Look out for next year.
Yeah, maybe we should just stop calling him the rookie and, call him the 49ers quarterback because, he played well. I was surprised. The quarterback that surprised me was really, it's not really a quarterback. It was just the whole Dallas quarterback situation. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's McCoy, and then it's not Tim Tebow. We might as well put Tim Tebow in there because this was just a carousel of quarterbacks. You had Tony Romo in there, so he's had 3 quarterbacks in one season.
Yeah, you don't want to have that shuffling going on. You kind of need to stick with a plan and ride the horse because you're just not going to get that fluidity, and just that stamp of approval on offense when you're shuffling quarterbacks like a deck of cards. So.
Yeah, I really don't know. It was each guy got time. I know he was trying to do different things, and hey, he was trying. I'll give him that. He was active. He was trying new things. He was looking for deals. He was, it just didn't work, and it was an odd situation. Looking at it from afar, I was like, wow. It was almost like who's starting. It was almost who's he gonna bring in now. Is Josh Cribbs, the Browns wide receiver, gonna come in and be his wide receiver? As or be his quarterback? You just never knew. And so that was a surprise for me. What about running backs? The running back that kind of surprised you. We can talk about the running backs who are really good and who are gonna win the awards. But we're gonna do a poll on the website this week, and hopefully we're in talks with the Panthers to organize that for us. Hopefully that goes through. So everyone has a chance to vote. Because really, Stocks, they hear our voice week in and week out. We could tell you who we like in that thing. And but you could just look at the stats, look at the numbers, and decide for yourself. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But who was the running back that kind of surprised you this season?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a tandem of running backs.
Yeah.
And that's with the Green Bay Packers with Starks and Fannin.
That's exactly where I was going.
The combined, both of them almost have, 21 touchdowns rushing combined.
Yeah.
Starks ran for 1,300 with 12 touchdowns. The rookie Fannin ran for 400 yards on only 59 attempts. So, he's got something cooking in the pot with that kid. Averaging 6.8 yards at an average. Scoring 7 touchdowns. So, Manny's found the run game, and with both of these guys, he's got a good attack at you just from the run game, not alone the air.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the rookie running back Fanning too. He's really impressed me, and the whole thing was he definitely has talent across the board. His stats are right there. He's always had the injury bug though, the injury concern, the injury awareness. that's been his, his heel coming into the draft. A lot of teams shied away from him just because of that reason. His injury rating is at 52. That's lower than Matthew Stafford, and he's going to take more hits than Matthew because he's a running back. But that's his only weakness, if you ask me. He's 5'8".
He's not too strong though. He's only a 78 strong.
But he's 5'8". That's pretty strong for a 5'8" guy,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 68 spectacular catch. You don't even see that in some of the wide receivers you got. And he's got decent jump. So he is 5'8", but he's got 85 jump, but his agility is 97, acceleration 97, elusiveness 91. He's in the 90s in almost every kind of category for you'd expect for a running back besides strength. His carries 94, So it's always going to be with injury. Injury is always going to be his concern, but he's only 21, so maybe you learn different ways to use him. I think Manny did a really good job at kind of maybe he could probably never be a workhorse back. Like you said, you're going to go to the timeshare back. You're going to go to Starks and Fanning. It's probably always going to be that way. When Manny runs this team, I don't see this guy ever carrying a team. We see that in real life. Javid Best right now. He was trying to be the workhorse for the Lions, and it just doesn't look that way. In real life, his career might be over in real life, and if we're gonna give a Madden comparison, you just hope this guy doesn't turn into that that kind of situation. And he got him so late in the draft, it's good value. So just as long as he stays healthy, you're good. Who is the wide receiver that kind of surprised you this season, good or bad?
Just before that, I wanted to go with the disappointed running back this year. If we're gonna go back and forth, and this is one young guy that I've always liked is Ryan Matthews of the Chargers.
Yeah.
He carried the ball 218 times and just broke 870 yards rushing, average 4 yards and only 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
A guy like this caliber, he should definitely be a 1,000-yard rusher with 200 carries a year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that offensive line's holding up, but this kid's not bad. I mean, he's got decent speed at 91. He's got the ball vision 86, stiff arm 93, spin 85. I mean, he's got the stats.
He can catch a little bit out of the backfield.
Yeah. So he's that prototypical every down back that can do a little bit of everything. And it's a little bit disappointing to see him only have 6 touchdowns and 800 yards rushing.
Yeah, he maybe you would expect that from me. Me being a heavy pass team, but the Chargers, I know he's a West Coast guy. He's a West Coast play. The playbook is the West Coast. He runs the West Coast very well. Ryan Matthews fits that bill to a T, if you ask me. He can do a little bit of everything. He's got all the tools in the toolbox. It's just you got to open the toolbox now and then and give it to him. I don't know exactly what happened. If it's good or bad. But the running back, I got to go back to the running back that kind of disappointed me. That's Adrian Foster. He had a great week this week, or last week, rather, since the week hasn't been advanced. But last week, he had a great week. He had almost 300 yards last week. But other than that, he hasn't not done really much all season for the caliber of running back he is. Week 13 against the Houston Texans, he had 2 attempts for 9 yards. I mean, that's just not enough.
Not a 95 overall.
Week 15 against the Philadelphia Eagles, he had 8 attempts for 36 yards. I mean, he's 95 overall. He did get over 1,000 yards, but a lot of it's due to he was just so inconsistent. Maybe that's because he was losing some games. Maybe that's because he was trying new playbooks. I don't really know the situation. But he was either up or he was down. I mean, against the Miami Dolphins, he has 6 attempts for 51 yards. The only reason his touchdown his touchdowns were 10. He got 5 of them in one game. You know, so
Yeah.
that he he just wasn't scoring enough. He wasn't touching the ball enough. You know, and other times he was touching the ball. I mean, one game he got 14 touches for 123 yards. Another time he almost touched the ball 30 times. In that game, he almost got 300 yards. So when he touches the ball, I mean, the owner definitely knows, how to use him because when he gives him the touches, when he gives him the opportunities, he shines. It's just I really don't know. I guess it's not really a disappointment because he did get over 1,000 yards and it's just it baffles me because it's not like he's bad at doing it or the running back is horrible.
Yeah, you would expect more outbreaks from that type
Yeah,
of running back.
more
You know what I mean?
consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not like the user just doesn't like his running backs or he doesn't use them. When he got the touches, he did phenomenal. He almost got 30 touches. He almost gets 300 yards. I mean, that's top level, user skills. That's top level running back, And obviously the line can run block if you're getting almost 300 yards. So when he got the touches, he did well. It was just it was a consistency issue, and that's what it was. And I don't know what that was all about, but it is what it is. Going on the wide receiver, who was the wide receiver that kind of stood out to you? Maybe a surprise, and then one who kind of let you down.
The wide receiver that's got to be in the top 3, maybe even the first wide receiver, Hakeem Nicks, 107 receptions, 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he's there. I mean, he's at the top of the crop. So, he's with the Calvin Johnsons. He's with the Larry Fitzgeralds. He's up there.
Yeah, at least in this league he is. I mean, with the owner and the stability of the New York Giants. I mean, we know that guy for a while. He's done phenomenal things in this league, and he's done phenomenal things with Hakeem Nicks. So yeah, it only fits the personnel. This guy is a top level wide receiver, and there's a top level owner behind that wide receiver, and you see the results when that happens. Yeah, so a receiver that's kind of disappointed you.
That's kind of tough. I was looking over, with the Peyton Manning injury, Reggie Wayne. But you can't really knock the Reggie Wayne stats. He had almost 100 receptions. So you would think he would be up in the top 10.
Yeah.
Top 10, for a wide receiver. I believe I was looking at, I think Wes Welker didn't have that great of a season. I have to pull up his stats.
Yeah, well, if you got to pull up his stats, that's usually not a good indicator. The guy I was gonna go to is Vincent Jackson. Just didn't seem like he really showed up this season. He only had 35 receptions. He had 679 yards and 4 touchdowns. Let me make sure I got the right guy because this doesn't. No. Yeah, I got the right guy. I was completely baffled at first, Doc. I'll be honest. I didn't think I had the right guy. He only had 35 touches, 679 yards, 4 touchdowns. I don't know. I don't know if. I think we had the same owner all year, around. I really don't know this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Vincent Jackson isn't that good, but the guy is 6'5". He's under 30. He's got good. Now there's some character issues in real life, but he should have some good stats. He's 91 speed. 97 spectacular catch, 93 catch in traffic. He's got all the things you'd want. 90 route running from a wide receiver to only give him the ball 35 times. Now, when he touched it, he averaged 19 yards. Maybe it was an issue, with getting him the ball. Maybe teams knew they had to double cover him,
Yeah.
But
yeah, the Wes Welker, I got his stats.
Yeah.
41 receptions, 502 yards, 1 touchdown. I
Yeah.
mean, if that's not a bad season for a type of wide receiver at his caliber,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because I mean he is just a stud.
Well, I think we found two guys who can be a stud, can be stud quality and just didn't perform. Now I'm not about to put that on the users because maybe they dropped balls, when they should have caught them. I don't know. I wasn't playing the game, but just looking at pure numbers and pure, productivity that you would expect for those type of guys, it wasn't up to par. Now, what was the what defense or what team really surprised you on defense? And I know this team isn't coming from the AFC West because that division they couldn't play defense at all.
Well, it's actually funny is the Detroit Lions. I played against you this year, and your defense has turned almost a 360 from last year. When I played against you, I was pretty able to not run at will, but I was able to find the hole. And I mean, in this year when I played against you, I could not find a hole.
Yeah.
And it just seems like your defensive line has really stepped it up.
Well, it helped with Nick Fairley progressing, but I want to go back to something. I made a joke about the team that would not have the best defense, and I said the AFC West. I meant the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, and the Texans. They don't play any defense in that division. So I'll tell you what: if a team becomes open and you're not a defensive-minded guy, go to that division because you'll fit in just perfectly. But going back to my team and my defense. If you played me early in the season, my defense was pretty horrible. Stocks is alluding to the game where I played him and I knew coming in. I knew Stocks' game plan. I know Stocks way back. In that game, I decided I was going to recommit my team, my philosophy. I picked up the Philadelphia Eagles playbook, and I said I'm going to get after people. I'm going to fill those holes. And if I get burnt on, a few plays, that's okay. I'm okay with giving up points. That's my whole defense philosophy. Not giving up points. Sorry, giving up yards, but not giving up points. That's the whole thing. Give up 1,000 yards as long as you don't give up any touchdowns. I don't, it doesn't bother me. So that's kind of my defensive philosophy. And really, early in the season, Stocks, my defense was not looking good. It wasn't until about the game I played you that I switched playbooks. I switched philosophies. I moved guys in different positions. I moved a linebacker inside instead of outside. I finally came to terms with I wasn't going to get Stephen Tulloch back for the year. Even though I still talk about that like crazy. I mean, who wouldn't talk about that? It's like losing, Patrick Willis or DeMarcus Ware. But I finally came to terms with it and moved my linebackers around. And, worked on my defensive line, and it paid off near the end of the season. Because although I didn't have a great season, I won a lot of those games that I did win this season on defense. I mean, I picked off the Kansas City Chiefs 5 times. I picked you off 5 times, I think, in that game. So, my defense definitely led my win. So, yeah, you're right.
The second defense that I found, stats-wise, is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
They rank 4th in allowing points, only 20 points a game. The yards was 3rd. Passing yards was 4th. Rushing yards was 9th. So the Arizona Cardinals, on the defensive side of the ball, is all in the top 10 for points, yards, pass, and rush. When you have those 4 categories inside the top 10, I mean, you're going to come out with a good 10-6 record, and the head of that division or up in that division.
Yep.
Those stats are remarkable.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, he's got some injuries too. He's got Marshall, his cornerback, out for 3 weeks. He's got a right outside linebacker out for the season. So I'm not sure when these injuries occurred or how late it was or how long they really going at it, but like you said, that's pretty remarkable. Adrian Wilson, the safety, had 48 tackles, 4 sacks, and 1 forced fumble and 6 interceptions. They have that Patrick Peterson, that young corner, who's really just big, strong, and can cover anyone in the league. But other than that, you would not expect this from the Cardinals. You wouldn't expect it. So there's two defenses that kind of maybe under the radar really surprised you. Who was the defense? Maybe that was your defense, but who was the defense that kind of, you knew it, they were going to play well, and they didn't let you down?
The Chicago Bears seemed like they took a little step back this year at, almost a 500 record. Last year when they came up with that new 4-6,
yeah,
they were really stout. I mean, that team they were in the top 5 or top 3 of defense, and this year I don't see them in any of the categories this year.
I think to be completely honest, I think people just figured it out. I think you're right. I think, when he came in with it, and some people had run the 4-6 before, run elements of it or run parts of it. This guy was completely 4-6. He was completely coming after you, So maybe that was the issue, that people kind of figured it out, which I kind of lean towards. But we also got to remember, Brian Urlacher got a year older, Lance Briggs got a year older. There's some old linebackers on that team, so, maybe the fact of just guys aging some.
Yeah, he ended up ranking 20th for Russian defense. Last year, I think he was top 2, maybe. I bet you he was 1 or 2 with that defense. I remember him having a Donahue with almost the sack leader. So yeah, it's not that I'm downgrading the Bears. Yeah, they ended up with a 9-7 record. I mean, it's just going from. I bet you he's probably disappointed going from, the top 1 or 2 defense to a 20. Letting up defense. Yeah, he lets up 23 points a game. He ranks 13th. But he wants to stop that run. I mean, he had those guys, just clogging up everybody last year. And to rank 20th, I guarantee you he's disappointed.
And if he isn't disappointed, I don't know why he's here to be. I mean, I know that guy, he's competitive. I play with him twice a year. If he isn't mad about it, if he isn't, trying to figure out new things, I'd be really surprised, because that guy can play. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised either he sticks with it and he, figures out where to move people, or, because that's all it could be. Maybe he's just got to move, a couple pieces around, right back there he is. Or maybe he changes up his defense completely. Whatever it is, this guy, he knows how to play defense. I don't think this was a normal thing. I think you'd expect him to play good defense. And he'll get back to it. He's been a Chicago Bears fan all of his life, so he knows what defense is all about. I mean, when you're a Chicago Bears fan, you hear about the 85 Bears all the time. So they know defense down there in Chicago. And he'll get back to it. I know he will. So there it is. There's some prize defenses. There's some good defenses. And I think the Cardinals, it's fair to say that, yes, they're a surprise defense, but they're also your really good defense too. So calling them a surprise defense almost gives it the impression that they're almost surprised you, like they're not a good defense, and maybe people didn't know. And if you didn't know, they are, what Stock said, they are ranked 4th. They are ranked, top 10 in almost every category in defense. So they're not really a surprise anymore, at least when you look at the stats. Now, I'm going to just run down some things, and I'll throw out some names and see what you think. What do you think about this the Steelers, Ross, the rookie? He might be Offensive Rookie of the Year this year. He had 19 touchdowns and well over 2,000 yards. He had the carries to account for it, but one of the lower carry totals for how many yards he equated for, and I think he'll probably get the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe not. He's in the category with Brooks. And I think that's about it. Strong, maybe. So Brooks, Strong, and Ross, I think your offensive rookies. Obviously we'll wait till the polls come out. You guys can vote on that. Maybe you surprise us, but I think Kobe Ross. He really surprised me. I mean, maybe not. I mean, we got to understand who's using him, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's always been able to run very well.
Yeah,
so maybe that's not.
When you get the Rock 278 times,
yeah,
that's giving him the chance.
Yep.
That's the key. He's getting the chance to prove and show himself.
Yeah, maybe that's all it is. Like Adrian Foster, he wasn't getting the rock, and this guy is, and you see the results. Is any other surprises this season that you wanted to speak at, or any kind of thing that stuck out to you that maybe people aren't really looking at? Because once the playoffs start, it's another season. It's kind of another type of season, and then we kind of shut the door on what exactly happened in the season. People forget about what happened in the season. So
I'm kind of shocked that I don't know if it has anything to do with us, but I kind of missed the defensive side of games. Like, I mean, me and Tampa Bay played a game last night. It was very meaningful. It didn't. I mean, we both had a couple of guys out, our stars or whatever, but it was a defensive battle the whole game, and I actually enjoyed it. I mean,
yeah.
it was kind of like a chess match. So I kind of missed some of the low scoring defensive battle. Who's gonna
Yeah.
who's gonna let the big play? Not big play after big play, but I mean, he had like 2 or 3, third and goals, and he didn't get in. And same thing with me. I had a couple third and goals, and I couldn't get in. And it was just good to feel that defensive side of the ball sometimes.
Well, I think it speaks to, I think the first season in Madden, a lot of times people are still feeling it out. A lot of times, we buy the game like right away, and we probably start, the season the next week, and maybe the week after that. So maybe you got a week or 2 weeks to play the game before the season starts. But you don't really got a lot of time to really master the new game, the nuances of the game. So a lot of times the score's all low, I've noticed, in the first season. And then near the end of the first season, you start seeing the scores, climb. Because even if it is a defensive game, you got interceptions that get returned, fumbles, and so these things happen. So I think you're right. I miss it too. I'm an old school guy. You're an old school guy. You like the old chess mats. Put your foot in the ground and dig for every inch. But I think as we go on and every season advances, people are going to become more and more advanced on offense and then more advanced on defense. So when you do see a turnover, it's automatically going to turn into 6 points. Pick sixes and those type of things. And I think that's what it equates to. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not that kind of guy. I can barely score 30 points, a game. But, obviously somebody knows what they're doing. Because, like I said, just ask the AFC South because they know how to play some offense.
But I have a question for you. What if you could see one team that's at the bottom of the, we always play our game, but the team that you think has the best chance at finish, not out of the playoffs this year,
yeah,
that would make the playoffs next year, just on their team right now, no draft, no free agents, what they kind of have right now. What team would you think could make that turnaround? Just because they have a solid team that.
Well, we spoke to this. You never know with this league because everyone's so competitive and everyone's so tight. You get surprised every year. We didn't think Washington would be so good. We didn't think Atlanta would be so good. We really thought you and the Panthers would be fighting for the division. We didn't know that Tampa would finish, I think, with a better record than you, correct? And we didn't, these kind of things surprised. Yeah, he finished with a better record than you. And the first season, you started 7-0, something like that. So you just never know. But if I had to name a team to kind of take that step, oh man, it's tough. You just never know. I'd say the team that probably has. I like Washington.
Yep.
I like what Washington's doing. You also gotta, I know the Vikings. He says I'm making, great improvements. I don't think I'm there yet. Maybe, but you gotta look at Dallas too. I think Dallas is extremely talented. I think the owner-runner, he just gets down on himself a lot. He's got to work on his confidence issue. Like when he gets down in the game, he'll be in the chat room. He'll be hating on his game. He'll be ready to, kind of, dogging his team. I think a lot of it comes down to confidence.
Yeah, because he does have pieces in that artillery. I mean, we've went over his team a few times, and he's got the players. He just needs to come up with the perfect scheme, I guess.
But it's not just him. I mean, look at Oakland. Just because you have a bad team doesn't mean you can't win. I mean, Tampa's figured out a formula that's worked for him. I think he was 0-7, and now he's in the early stages of the season, and he finished 8-8. So he said he eliminated the big plays. He didn't try to go and get the big plays because he doesn't have the big play wide receiver, he thought. So he ran the ball more. He was more efficient with I think a lot of it depends on who you have, and you got to find who you are. You got to stop trying to make your team into something you're not. But yeah, that'd be the team that sticks out to me. Either Dallas, Washington. I like Washington's move, and Dallas has the talent. I gotta ask you a question. Indiana, the Colts have always been kind of, since we started, they've not really done much in the division. They've had some really surprising wins. They kind of did and continue to do what I did this season. When you counted me out, when you said, "Oh, he's playing a playoff team, he'll get killed." He played well, and he won some games. He was 4-11. And how I beat you in the Chiefs, and these I did something similar to him. We always come up with these big wins. Do you ever see, like, when he gets Peyton Manning back and he gets his full team back, do you see that guy making a run in that division? Because we know that division's not always the strongest. It's still wide open a lot of times.
Yeah, in his case, if he's in that division, he's got to kind of feel out how that division is and look at it and notice it's a high-flying division. The defensive play is very bad on the other teams. So if you can make your defense just a little bit better, I think you can control some of those teams like the Jaguars, like the Texans, and like the Titans, high-flying offense.
So you have the same philosophy that I do.
And that's where I would go and try to get a shutdown quarter.
Yeah.
To shut down, the Andre Johnsons, the Jared Cooks.
Yeah. Dez Bryant.
The Holmes.
The Holmes.
So, just to slow him down just a little bit. Because, like you said, once you get the Peyton Mannings back, he's still got the Reggie Wayne, he's still got the Dallas Clarks. But looking over his team he's got to be aware of who's retiring and who's not. I think this year, like we said before, this year could be a big year of retirees. And Jeff Saturday's 37. Adam Vinatieri is 39. Those two guys could be done. You got Vinatieri. He's just a kicker, but I mean, he's a great kicker.
It's still a loss. Still money you got to pay off. Still, even kicking. Kicking is important in Madden because you got to take your points where you can get them, especially in a competitive league like this. And each kicker kicks a little different, and it takes a while to figure out what exactly their range is, because we all know that Madden says that the range is one thing, but then you find out another thing. So that takes a while to kind of adjust.
If he can stay, like I said, stay away from the retirees and get a couple good breaks, I think he should be all set. When you have Peyton Manning, I mean, he's going to be able to score with anybody.
Well, Alex, he likes to throw the ball. He likes to throw it and throw it and throw it. I think he has 48 touchdowns. But we also looked at it, I think, last week. He also throws the ball, the most interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions, I think, So when you're in a division, you're right. If you get that stud corner, if you get two shutdown corners, and you start turning those, turnovers into opportunities, even if you convert, 60%, you're going to be in good shape. And, I know me and Stocks are old school guys and we like to see defense, but if you're in a division like this, you have to set yourself apart.
Yeah, you got to play the division.
And, the Texans already has, all-star wide receivers. He has Andre Johnson, Dez Bryant, name the guys. He's probably got three, star guys that would be number one guys on any team. So instead of trying to match that, instead of going out and getting Reggie Wayne and trying to make a deal for, Vincent Jackson or, you know, trying to get these things, instead of trying to be the same as your division, you got to set yourself apart from your division. And that starts on defense, I think, because none of these teams really play great defense. If anything, they play situational defense, so the numbers are a little bit skewed. But none of them play really great defense. So if you're gonna start anywhere, and like I said, this isn't really an offensive draft; it's more a defensive draft. So if that helps, defense is the way to go, and defense in that draft in that division will, I think, it will wake up a lot of those teams. Because I think a lot of those teams are kind of all the same. Jacksonville throws a lot, well, so does Houston. So when they play each other, it's just going to be a shootout. But if you get a division, a defensive-minded guy in that division, that kind of wakes up everyone else. Hey, this guy's playing defense. I better start playing defense too. And so I think it'd be really interesting from our point of view, doing the show week in, week out. If someone did get defense in that division, if Alex drafts a defense, and he spoke to me earlier today about, working on his defense. I think it would be, it'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Colts side, I definitely still like, the Dwight Freeney and the Robert Matthews. So, I mean, that's a core of two bookends right there that a lot of teams don't have. And with those guys on the field, you're gonna always put pressure on the quarterback. So, it's a great tandem.
You know what's great about this? I know from our instance doing these shows week in and week out, I know the Colts always gives us a good listen, so hopefully he takes this advice, at least, finds entertainment in what we said, and, if he doesn't really take our advice, like we're some kind of coaches, he doesn't have to listen to us. I mean, we're just two guys.
Definitely. We should put the disclaimer.
Right? We're just two guys. Again, we don't get paid for this. We're knuckleheads. We're just football fans, so we do these things, but that's what we would do if we had that team. And I'm sure he'll appreciate that he gives us a good listen. Is there any other teams you really want to talk about? That's about it, huh?
No, I got one. The Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns?
Let's break them down before we wrap up and do something else. They ended up with... They're at a 5-11 record right now.
Yeah.
They've had some injuries. You got a stud left tackle, Joe Thomas, ended up fracturing his knee. He was out for the season. Peyton Hill is partially ACL tear. Thomas, he's had Thomas out for a little bit. Tony Romo, the guy that I thought should still be in Dallas, finished with 2,300 yards passing, 17 touchdowns. Hillis, over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. A couple wide receivers, Anthony Armstrong, 6 touchdowns. Brandon Banks, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's in a tough division. I mean, he's a team that's going to really have to hit on the draft and hit on the free agency to climb this team out of it because, I mean, let's face it, he's got pieces, but he's going to need a little bit more.
Well, going back to what you said about Tony Romo, Runner's going to give this a good listen, and he might dog us a little bit for the in the chats or whatever, but you might be right, and you also said you wouldn't have traded Des Bryant. So, but on the Brown side of things, he got those players, and he didn't. I didn't really like that roster. I really thought it was one of the worst rosters to take over right away in Madden first year. Because,
we met guys like that. We like guys that come in here and take that challenge on.
Yeah. Like the Redskins,
Exactly.
Like, the Browns. I mean, obviously they had Joe Hayden. They had, Joe Thomas. But they didn't really have any kind of sexy guys, I guess you could say. Any kind of guys that stick out. So if you are a defense, you don't have that wide receiver that you have to cover. You don't have that running back that you have to stack the box against. You don't have that quarterback that has that amazing arm, Tom Brady-ish, Drew Brees-like accuracy. So that's interesting. To to take over a team, like you said, that's a challenge that we look for, because you gotta take over every team. Every team's got to be filled in this league for it to be as fun as it can be. And I applaud anyone who takes over a bad team. Like you said, he had some injuries, and that obviously hurts, especially a
Yeah,
team that's not necessarily talented. We're not talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers here, or the Patriots that before you took them over in real life have a dynasty or a legacy of good players of good drafts. We're talking about a team that obviously isn't doing good, too good. They have a few great young players that you can build around, and after that, you got to go out and get players. And he got Tony Romo, whether you think he should still be in Dallas or not. He got him to come to the Cleveland Browns. He brought in Roy Williams, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but he's another big wide receiver. And you know what big wide receivers can do in this game. He brought. He started running with some other guys. It's just unfortunate he had so many injuries. I like him going and getting Adelius Thomas though. He's a really good wide receiver. He drops some balls, but he also makes some big plays. And I think that's what the Browns were missing. They were missing that big play guy.
yeah. His rookie Raymond Gilbert, his first round pick last year, ended up with 31 tackles and 11 sacks. So he's got something good to build on that side of the ball with this guy. He's young, 85 overall. So that's good. That's good hopes for him.
I do like that. I like Ward. I like the corner they got. I like their defense. I hate their uniforms, by the way. Their uniforms are just horrible. So on that side, maybe that's why I haven't ever took the Browns or took that challenge. But somebody has to, and this guy did a great job with that. So I think we wrapped up a bunch of teams. I think we actually talked about some teams that will give this a listen, because that's always important to us. I mean, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face. We don't get paid for it. We don't get any kind of signing bonuses from Manny all the way from Italy sending us checks in the mail, any kind of things like that. So it's got to be fun. It's got to be quick and fast. I know you guys are work, and we're all adults, and it's got to be all these things. But the main thing for me in stocks is just somebody gives us a listen and finds us funny half the time, or finds us dreadful. Whatever you think of us is cool. It's fine. I talk slow. Stocks talks fast. Whatever. Just as long as you come and you give it a listen, and you find it fun. And really, the point of it is to set the league apart. That's Stocks is the one who thought of this whole thing in the first place. He wanted something, that I could do with him that would set this league apart, that would kind of push it to a new level, because we do remember those days with the 11 or 12 owners, and those days were not good. They were kind of the dark days of the league. And so he was like, what can I do to make this league better? And I got to tell you, what have we been doing this for 2 seasons now?
Yeah.
It's still pretty fun. We get surprises now and then. We get, people coming on. And I think we're starting to grow. Every year I hope that more people will come on. I hope more people will give it a listen. I mean, just give it one listen. I mean, I'm trying to promote it on the chat board, but really, it's still fun for us. And I really didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know if we'd do one show, if we'd do 2 shows, if we'd hate each other after the 3rd show, or what would happen, man. But it's still pretty fun, and it's still pretty creative, because we've been to a bunch of different leagues. And the only leagues I've been to, they don't really have anything like we have here. And if they do, they pretty much copycatted it from us. So that's actually on you. I mean, I got to thank you for that, because this is your idea. I mean, although I do produce it now and I help you with YouTube and those type of things, this is your idea. And not many leagues are doing it. So if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to listen. You can play your games. You can go about it. But for the people that do listen, for the people that do, take it to the next level, it's all fun, and it's really something different. That's what makes it so fun for me.
Yeah, my case was, like you said, I was just trying to think of something to come up with, and something different, and that's what I came up with. And I'm here to please the customer, and if I like knowing that a certain person likes you know, what I have to say, even if I bash their team or, you know what I mean, I'll say something good.
Right.
I'm just giving an opinion. You know, my opinion's not always right, I understand that.
Right.
But I just give my best of my Madden knowledge to
And-
you guys. And, you know, you take it as you take it, you know. And we try to turn teams around kind of by what we talk. Because, like we said, we kind of give, okay, if I was the Colts owner or I was the, you know, the Lions owner, what would I do?
Yeah.
So it's, you know what I mean, we're kind of playing GM of 32 teams sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun and probably makes guys listen to it.
And it helps us because we're like, well, what if I was the Colts, or what if, you know? Then you start thinking about that, like, oh, let's try the Colts playbook. If I was the Colts, I'd probably use the Colts playbook. So as the Saints, you might try the Colts playbook, or
Yeah. Yep.
you know. So it helps us too. And I mean, like I said, it's fun. And I don't care if you want to bash me or you want to bash Doc. Just do it in a classy manner. That's fine. Go ahead and tell us our predictions were horrible or this and that. Just, you know, I think it's really cool that we do it. Like I said, the only people that I've really seen that tried it probably copied it from us, because I've been to some leagues, and I'll tell you what, my fingers hurt after the weeks of the chat boards and trying to schedule games. I gotta have something else to do besides sit on the chat boards every day. So this is just another way to express my love for Gridiron Gamers, if you will. But I think we're good for this season. We'll give it a season wrap up. We'll be back for the playoffs. Hopefully they go fast, because we want to play more, more Madden. It's always about more Madden. So
We got a talk going on right now in the chat room about playoffs getting done by next Sunday, and having a draft on Super Bowl Sunday. So that's just a heads up to everybody that's listening to this, that, you know, let's see if we can do this. You know, like we said before, we're not in a rush. We're not rushing anybody.
No.
You know, this is the fun time. We're gonna sit back and watch you guys. You know, but if it's convenient, well, let's do it then.
yeah, if it's possible. I mean,
What's better than having a draft and Super Bowl Sunday?
that's news to me. But I'll tell you what, people are gonna see my smile after you telling me that. And that's pretty exciting. And I'll tell you what, we're all kind of hardcore gamers, mediocre gamers, whatever. But if you're in a league, you're taking this much time, you're probably a hardcore gamer. You probably might be able to find a little time to squeeze it in. I mean, obviously we know you have a life, you have all these things. So we're not trying to rush any kind of situations. Not trying to put pressure on anyone. I mean, you want the playoffs to be played authentically. You want them to be, you want people to be playing their hardest. You don't want people to be trying to scramble or rush games. But hey, if you're already there, if you're already excited about it, play it and see what happens. I know a lot of times people will be afraid to play their games early. Or, they want to wait and try to figure it out. What's your philosophy about waiting and trying to, maybe you're trying a new playbook or you're trying to practice too much? I think it's like in real life. I think you can't overthink things,
No, you just got to go with what's got you there.
Yeah, if it got you to the playoffs, stay with it. It's like real life. After, what do they give them, like 2 weeks for the playoff or the Super Bowl? You don't need that much time. I mean, that's kind of a distraction. So, although, we don't want to rush anyone in the Madden playoffs, we don't want to rush Sims or anything like that, you don't also want to give it too much time. We usually have 2 advancements a week. If you can get in a momentum type thing and you start reeling off these wins, why do you want to stop that momentum if you can help it? So that's it for me. If you want to
That's it for me.
all right, man, we're good.
All right,
That's
peace.
the season. We'll be back for the playoffs.